Big Brothers Big Sisters of Western North Carolina has been working towards establishing and supporting a goal-oriented mentoring relationship between bigs and littles, calling it Friendships with a Purpose. The idea is you have this scaffolding of a strong, supportive, trusting mentor relationship, and that leads really well to actively supporting littles on meeting their goals. So when our littles are little, we are trying to have a goal around developing and maintaining a strong relationship, and then having an academic goal and a goal related to what we call their sparks, what they're interested in, what gets them excited, what they want to learn more about. As our littles are getting older, we're trying to be more focused around that future planning aspect, getting them ready for what happens in high school, through high school, and after they hit that big milestone of graduation. What happens next? And we do have a structured process for that, the future planning meeting process, which can be supported by a match support coordinator, or bigs can really do it on their own as well. There's a structured meeting involved, points that are hit around what the little wants to do for work, what they want to do for higher education, what they want to do for transportation and living, and all kinds of things, all the different aspects of their life and what they're looking for. We're hoping also that parents and guardians, family members can get involved in this process to the greatest extent that they're able to and interested in. But it's really just a structured way to help our older littles set short-term goals so they can see successes in the moment that are leading them to their bigger dreams later in life. Why do we want to do future planning for our teenage littles? First of all, we can't just assume that there are people who are supporting our littles in figuring out what happens after high school. That doesn't mean that our teenage, high school age littles don't have all kinds of hopes and dreams and ideas of what will happen after high school, but they don't necessarily have people who are actively helping them shape those dreams. What we want is to help our littles realize their potential as they move through high school. We want them to be as successful as they can, and then we want them to move on to something great afterward. A lot of the families that we work with are incredibly busy. They have a lot going on. One of the youth I've been working with who is actively engaged in the future planning process, he lives with a single mom and 6 siblings, and his mom has 3 jobs. So the first time I talked to her, she said, "We're just looking for him to graduate from high school, and that will be a success." And yes, absolutely, that is a success. And what happens next? So that's part of what we want to do. Our bigs are in a unique position because y'all have already formed a trusting bond with your youth. The littles know that you see their strengths, you see what they're capable of, and that you believe in them. So that puts you in a really wonderful position to help them move forward with what they want. One of the great things that bigs can do for littles is to help them go straight to the source to get the information that they're looking for. When young people are dealing with a lot of adults who are incredibly busy, whether it's their teachers, their guidance counselors, their parents, their guardians, whoever, oftentimes they will just look to whoever is the closest to get their information. So they'll say, well, I think I'm gonna get into construction and my neighbor's cousin knows this guy who knows. What we want to do, what we're in a position to do, or what bigs are in a position to do, is to actually help the youth get real information, whether it's through researching on the internet, whether it's to connect them with people who do the work that they're interested in or are studying what they're interested in studying, and have them talk to these folks, have them do job shadows, have them do informational interviews, have them actually get real concrete information on how to move towards their goals. This is something that you can do over a span of months and years with youth as they are figuring out what they want to do. It is really important if your little has identified something specific that they want to do, for them to really understand what that means. What's the training involved? What's the education involved? Is it something that's going to be possible for them to do in this area, or is it something they're going to need to relocate to do? help them get realistic about these dreams. I've met a lot of young people who have big dreams about their futures as far as being famous or being a celebrity, that they're going to be a famous singer or they're going to be a famous athlete. And again, I don't think it's the role of the big to squash dreams, it's the role of the big to shape dreams. So say your little wants to be in the NBA. Do some research with your little on what does that look like? How does a person actually get into the NBA? What are the steps to get there? And then you want to have another plan, the blown out knee plan. What happens if that's not a possibility? Not because you're not good enough or whatever, but because you're injured and you can't do that. So what's another option for you? That could be a parallel track that you're working towards that's actually of interest to them, that they can really see themselves doing. It's hugely beneficial for kids to get this information before they start moving down a path that it turns out they don't want to go down. I worked with a young woman who did a lot of research, and there is really good information on the internet as far as career tracks and the percentage of people who try to go into a certain area and are able to go into it, and the kind of money that they can expect in the region that they live in. So this young woman did all that research, and she figured out that dental hygienist was a great job for her to go into. There was really good growth potential, the income was good, it was an 18-month training, she really liked all of that. We went through the whole process with her, she got her certification, she was very successful. It wasn't until after she got her certification that she went into a dentist's office for an interview, and she realized while she was sitting there waiting to be called in for her interview that she hates dentist offices. And she had never really thought about that. She was just moving towards her goal, which was great. She was very goal-oriented and she had excellent follow-through, but she hadn't done the job shadow piece. If she had done a job shadow and been realistic about it and had someone kind of guide her towards doing that, she would have known before she started the process that it was a rule out. So instead she went into x-ray technician, so that's great. But she felt she had what she had considered a big failure, you know, like a start and stop sort of thing before she started over. So yeah, there's a lot of concrete ways that we can help shape our youth ideas about their goals. What's really important as you work with youth through this process is that you focus on their strengths, their interests, and their vision of where they're going. We can influence and give ideas, but ultimately we want to be bolstering and supporting what they want. That's how they get bought into this process. That's how they want to move forward and meet all the short-term goals to get to the big goal at the end. The young man I talked about earlier, who has the 6 siblings and mom has 3 jobs, his big brother and I have been working with him on this process, planning, and he had identified at first that he wanted to be an auto mechanic. For about a year, we've been working with him on all these steps about getting certified to be an auto mechanic. Well, the last time we checked in with him, he said he thinks actually he wants to join the military, and he's been talking to a recruiter. So our role, the Big's role, in this process with him is to remind him of where he was going and kind of check in with him about, is this still something that you want as a parallel track, or is this something you've decided you don't want to do at all? Are we shifting completely over to the military and working with recruiters and that whole process? Is mom on board with this whole thing? Just to check in with him and do some flushing out of this change. But ultimately, what decision he makes is what we are going to follow. We go where he goes. If we're trying to pull over here and he's moving over this way, then we can't support him anymore. So an important thing for Bigs to know about the future planning process is that we don't expect you to do it on your own. Please know that you have support, you have resources, you have a whole team of people who would like to work with you on figuring out the best way to support your little. If you want to start the process in a structured way with meetings that are led by your match support coordinator, that's great. If you want to start it on your own and then let your match support coordinator or parent or college advisor or your little's guidance counselor or whoever is most involved with your little, let them know about what your little's goals are. Then as a team, you can figure out where to look online, how to get more information, who could do an informational interview for you, where you could do a job shadow. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of people in the community who really want to support and guide and bolster young people. I have never contacted anyone about setting up a job shadow who has said, no, that's not going to be a possibility at all. People are usually pretty flattered that a young person wants to do the kind of work that they want to do, and they're excited to show the young person that work. If your little has not identified any areas of interest or goals, there are really great tools online, self-assessments where littles can just do sort of a personality assessment of themselves, and then they'll get a whole long list of potential career ideas, and that can be a really good jumping off point. So just know that there are a lot of resources available. You're not on your own. You have a team of people to work with, and the little is going to feel that too, that there's a whole team of support around them to support them in going where they want to go.